Hey guys, my name's Jason, and people tell me all the time how lucky I must be living in Colorado because I can go to any of the camping or off-road shops to pick up all the gear I need for overlanding. Well, joke's on them because I actually get a lot of my stuff from big box retail stores. So if you have this store in your town, you might be able to get the gear that you need.
A big day. I'm doing what?
Well, it's actually pretty nice till Saturday. We're gonna go to Home Depot.
Alright, so we're going to start off with lights here. There's a couple different ones to choose from. But after doing a little bit of research, it seems like this Ryobi one here is probably the best bet. It is $139, is adjustable up to 5 feet. Now this is the tool only. You will have to buy the battery and everything separate. I know a lot of people out there already have the OnePlus lithium ion battery. So if that's something you already have, then this might actually be a really great bet for you. 2700 lumens of light output, so this thing's going to put out a ton of light. So next up we're going to have this 19.5 inch low smoke wood burning stainless steel fire pit. So it is very similar to the Solo Stove. I have another one that's also very similar that I got on Amazon. I really do like these things. They work really great and they keep you from smelling like smoke. So one thing I noticed while researching Home Depot is that they actually had a very robust online presence. First off, one of the things that I thought was pretty crazy that they carried was a decked system. Now they have it here for this 5'7" Tundra, which is the short bed version of what I drive, but they also do have it for the long bed as well. Now I really do like drawers. I definitely recommend them if you've never had them before. They are really great for organizing all of your gear and kind of having everything ready to go when you're ready to hit the road. Now I really liked decked because you do get a 2,000 pound payload capacity for them. Now these are viable for both commercial use as well as overlanding, so you do get a 2,000 pound payload capacity and 200 pounds per drawer. They have it for a bunch of different trucks, but I'm really just showing you for the Tundra and the Tacoma because that is probably what most people in my audience are driving. Now after that we have Track 1. This is from Track Rack. This is a universal truck bed ladder rack system. It has an 800 pound capacity, so you could easily put a rooftop tent or put some storage boxes if you need to bring some other stuff camping, so that when you're camping you have everything kind of organized there. But I really do like these for a rooftop tent because it keeps it above the truck cab, so if you have a long tent it's not going to rub into your cab. Now after that we're going to have this DeWalt Tough System 2.0. You can have a bunch of different storage solutions that you can haul around camp with a little wheeled system. There is a 22-inch small toolbox, a 22-inch large toolbox, 24-inch mobile toolbox, and a shallow tool tray. Now the reason I say this is about $75 plus because that is the lowest one you can get. But in reality, this is probably around $178 for storage, and it might not work for everyone's needs. So if you want something a little bit cheaper, you can go with one of these HDX Tough Storage Totes. Now I'm sure you've seen these before. These are pretty common. They're not really lockable, and you could probably pretty easily break them. Now these are technically considered heavy duty, but I've definitely seen a lot of different brands that have a lot more reinforcement. There's a ton of different ones. This one right here was $11.98, but they've got a 7-gallon, 12, 14, 17, all the way up to a 70-gallon version of this. For a little bit more money, you can get this $23 one here. This is a Husky brand. It is 15-gallon, and it does actually have a latch on it, which I really do prefer. You've got a 5-gallon, a 15-gallon, 25, and a 45-gallon tote. So it's certainly a pretty cheap option to go if you're trying to store your camping gear in the rear of your truck or inside of your vehicle. After that, we're going to be looking at a 3-pack of folding knives. Now, I really do like these blade changing ones. They're super cheap, and you know they're always sharp because you can just change out those blades really easily. So the only downside to this is it's not really great for whittling or cutting up a steak or anything like that while you're camping. But it will certainly cut up rope or really anything you need that's pretty thin. As long as the blade doesn't need to be too thick and you need something sharp, these are really great. So when it comes to lighting, they actually had a ton of stuff. I tried to narrow it down as best I could to just a couple options. Alright, first off, we're going to start off with this sort of more EDC option. This is a 350 lumen dual power LED light. I really like this one at this price point because for only $20 you get a USB rechargeable light. It has UV, high, medium, and low. Alright, for just a little bit more, you're going to get a 410 lumen light here. This is also going to be dual powered. This is from Coast. You can use both battery or you can recharge this one. This light also does come with a lifetime warranty, which is pretty wild for a $21 light. After that, we're going to have an 800 lumen, also dual power flashlight. This one is $30. So on full blast, you're going to get 130 meter beam distance, which is really, really long distance. And it's also got a high mode, a turbo mode, medium, low, eco. After that, we have a 1200 lumen, which is starting to get a lot bigger at this point. So again, you're going to get a 130 meter distance, but with a lot more light. So this has high, medium, low, and eco, which goes from 1200 to about 10 lumens, going from 130 meters to about 10 meters. After that, we've got a Coast version of this. This is 800 lumens, pretty similar in price to the last one. This one's pretty robust. It would definitely make a really good camp light. After that, we have something that's probably a little bit overkill for most people. It's 2500 lumens, a 200 meter distance. This thing is way too overpowered for anything I would ever need, but it's not too expensive. So if you do need that much light, it's actually pretty good. 2000 something lumens is probably something I would look more for in a lamp rather than a flashlight. After that, we have some headlamps. For $30, you're going to get 650 lumens, which is quite a bit when it comes to a headlamp. Now, compared to a flashlight, you're going to get a nice peripheral vision. I really do like having these at camp because you can use both of your hands for whatever you're doing. Now, let's say you're starting a fire or something like that, then you can use both of your hands and it won't be a distraction. I would definitely recommend to put one of these in your kit, no matter what size it is. After that, we have this 1000 lumen light here. It has a 187 meter distance on it. This is probably more than you would need, but why not go overkill, I guess. $40, this is cheaper than anything I've bought at REI and has a lot more lumens than anything I've ever used from REI. So this could be a really good bet for you. It does have a red and a green mode. I do really like the red mode just because it gives you some light without blinding the people you're looking at if you happen to look in the direction of someone else. And also, it's slightly better for mosquitoes. Now, 700 lumens for a little lantern here. This is pretty good because it's going to spread everything out. It is IP6 waterproof. That's probably going to be good for most things you're going to be doing out while camping. This won't have a crazy long throw, only about 20 meters, but it is more of an ambient light that is going to light up the space around you rather than a directional beam. It does have a red light, which in this case is going to be great for mosquitoes. They are not as attracted to red light. Now, when it comes to gloves, I really just prefer a leather glove. Deerskin leather, even better, just a little bit softer, more malleable. After that, for $13, you've got these little 1 pound gas tanks here. Now, a lot of products you'll probably be using out there, like your grill, if you have a fire pit that's gas fire pit, you're probably going to be using these. So after that, we have this lifetime table. Now, I've seen these at camp many times before. A lot of people I know have these. They're really nice because they fold down super small and they can fit in a lot of different spaces. They do unfold rather large. They're pretty easy because there's no real assembly going on there. You're just kind of unfolding and folding things together when you're putting it away. Now, I pretty much always would recommend somebody to bring rope with them if they're going to be going camping. You really never know what you're going to need it for. It's always great for emergencies because you may have to tie something down. Like, let's say the weather turns pretty bad and you have to tie something down with a little bit of rope. Go ahead and grab this. This one's camo colored, which is kind of cool, I guess, but if you're out in nature, you really don't want it to blend in. You kind of want it to stand out. So I'd actually technically recommend that you get some neon ones if you can. There's also this larger one here, which is great for tying things down, like something that weighs a lot and you need to tie it down. This has a 310 pound rating, so the working limit on this one is pretty high. It is much bigger, so that's great if you need to tie something heavy down, but it's also a downside because it can take up a lot more space. Now after that, I would say a tarp is something you definitely would need to bring if you're going to be ground camping. I grew up using these for camping because you can put them underneath the tent, you can put them over the tent if it rains. There's just a ton of different uses for them, and I definitely really like them. Alright, so we've got this portable air cannon here. This is basically a really high-powered fan. Now, people use these on construction sites. They're very, very strong. Maybe it sounds like a lot of money for a fan, but when you consider it works with the Ryobi system and it's cordless, it's definitely a good buy. All right, then we've got this grill here. I really don't know much about it, but it's really the only thing I could find at Home Depot that was really a usable grill for camping. These legs seem a little bit chintzy, a little bit cheap, but everything else seems to be built really well. The legs are folded out, so it's likely they won't be taking a ton of abuse other than when you're using the grills, so it probably doesn't really matter that these are kind of flimsy looking. Now after that is one of my favorite products to talk about. This is the crocodile cloth. I think of these as adult baby wipes. They're really great for kind of washing anything around camp. You need to wash your hands. They're great for that. This is the grill version, so it's definitely going to work better for grill stuff. I would say just go for the regular ones, and for some reason the regular one was $1 more, but I would say it's worth that extra $1. And after that, they definitely do carry some bug spray. Even though the bugs aren't nearly as bad here in Colorado as where I grew up in the South, really have to use it as much in Colorado, but I still always bring it with me, just in case I'm in an area where there's some sitting water where bugs might be attracted. Next up, we're going to start off with this Husky shackle here. Now sometimes people will have these attached to their bumpers all the time. I really like to have these kind of in somewhere stored away so that when I need to be recovered, I can. This has 9,500 pounds of working strength, so it's going to work for a lot of different vehicles if you need to get out of a sticky situation. It is 3/4 inch forged steel construction, so again, I guess I'm just reiterating the fact that it is very strong. So I also saw online this receiver bracket and shackle. Now I transferred the one from my 4Runner over to my Tundra, and it is technically the only mod on there right now. It is probably one of the most important things outside of a winch to have on your vehicle, because without a rear bumper, you really have no way of being recovered from behind if you get stuck in, let's say, a ditch when it's snowing. So after that, we have this Vevor electric winch that has a 13,000 pound load capacity. This is probably something around the size that I would need for my Tundra, although I just don't know much about this product. I have worked with some Vevor stuff before and I've very much liked it, but this one just doesn't have any ratings or anything like that. Definitely would be a great deal for anyone looking, because $335 is about half the price of the next competitor, so it is pretty good. I would say 100% if you're going to get a winch to go synthetic, and I guess a lot of the old school guys just really like that steel winch, but in my opinion it's just very heavy and there's a lot more maintenance you have to do to keep it going. Now not only did I find one winch, but I did find a second one. This one actually does have some ratings on it. It has a 4-star out of 5, and it is about 674 bucks. Now this is probably a little bit better in line with what some of the other ones are online. Now they are showing this as sort of a auxiliary kind of attachment that you would add in. I would personally just rather have it attached to my bumper at all times. That is how I had it on my 4Runner, and that is how I'll have one when I add a bumper onto my Tundra. Now, I also saw that they had Nitto ridge grapplers in here. I had ridge grapplers on my last build, and I am going to go over to Recon grapplers. I just really like the Nitto product. This is the size that I will be running on my Tundra, a 35, 12.5 by 17. It's a pretty big tire, so if you have a smaller vehicle, you probably won't run that. But I really like this a lot. They do have other sizes, so you'll probably be able to find yours. However, if you're buying a tire from Home Depot, you're definitely going to have to get someone else to install that. I don't think they have a tire department. Alright, after that we have a soft shackle. Now I just recently got a soft shackle, and I've been leaning towards that a lot more. It takes up about the same amount of space as a regular shackle, a hard shackle, but it just seems a little bit more safe in my opinion. You just kind of pop it through the little loop there whenever you need to get up to somewhere where you're getting pulled, and you just use it like you would a regular hard shackle. Alright, after that we have some jump starters. This is a V8 capable one, which is probably what I would look for. Even if you drive a V6 or a 4-cylinder, I just like to have the extra power. Now I have one kind of similar to this, not exactly, but it is kind of compact like this, and you have the plug-in one rather than a standalone unit. I really do like these because they're pretty compact. Yeah, they just work really great. Now we also have this one, which is a lot larger and also goes with a V8 as well. This one also has a air compressor on it, which can bring you up to 120 PSI. I personally just don't love the idea of a combination battery pack and air compressor. I would rather have a really high-powered air compressor and a really high-powered jump starter rather than a medium of both. I would definitely go with the dedicated one rather than the 2-in-1. After that we have some jumper cables. Now this is great if you have another vehicle with you, but if it's just you by yourself and no one's around to help you, these really aren't very helpful. But I really do like these. It's a 4-gauge, so it's a little bit stronger. And when it comes to jump starters, definitely goes the opposite way you think. 2-gauge is going to be a lot better than a 6-gauge. So if a 2-gauge is a little bit more expensive, that's why. A 4-gauge is probably fine for most people. So this is something I've always brought along with me even before I started overlanding. This tire puncture plug kit is something I really recommend for everybody to carry with them, regardless of what you're doing. If you're on the side of the road and you don't want to get to your spare or you don't have one, then this definitely will help you to plug where you get the hole. Alright, so we're starting off with this 10-inch high carbon steel blade handled pruner saw. Now these are really great for around camp because you never know when you have to cut something down. It's definitely not going to be like a chainsaw, but you're going to be able to cut down branches for sure. I've been in a ton of situations before where I've needed to use these, so I always keep one of these in my vehicle. I don't necessarily have this brand, but I definitely keep some in my vehicle. After that is going to be a 36-inch splitting axe. Now, I am recommending this, but I technically would prefer to get a chopping axe. I personally just couldn't find that there, so the splitting axe is the direction we're going. I have a Fisker's axe. I like my Fisker's axe, and I always recommend the Fisker's axe. I really do like their products a lot, and I definitely recommend it. A lot more lightweight, and it just feels a little bit more ergonomic. So a little bit smaller, we've got this Fisker's hatchet here. I usually do bring a hatchet with me. I don't have the Fisker's brand, even though I definitely want one. The one I have now works fine, but if that ever breaks, for sure I will buy a Fisker's hatchet. It's a pretty good size. This one's really nice because it's not too small. I really do like this one, and I can't say enough good things about Fiskars. There's also this $15 D-handle shovel. Now, I had this exact same shovel on the side of my 4Runner for a while. Having a shovel around camp is really useful. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled up to a campsite and the fire pit is completely filled in with ash and trash, and I just don't want to use my hands to dig it out. So I definitely would bring a shovel, but you don't need to bring a massive one. This little one's probably perfectly fine for most case uses. After that, we've got some gear ties here. I have tons of these. I have them in a bunch of different sizes. I definitely recommend them. I would prefer these over rope just because you don't have to do any knots or anything like that. You just twist these up. Great for cords or wrapping up like your blankets or your sleeping bag, anything like that. They've also got this one pack that's a lot bigger, probably a little bit better for large items. However, I've not really found a use for this one, so I don't own it. I like the other ones just a little bit better, and the other one is a 2-pack. So if you're going to be doing a lot of long distance off-roading, I would definitely recommend that you build out yourself a little kit. I can do a video on that if you want to know about some tools I would recommend for overlanding. However, I like this stubby set for most case uses. It's going to have pretty much everything you need, but it's not going to be the most useful for home use. This is just going to kind of be an emergency use. It's got pretty much everything you would need to fix anything minor at camp. But if your car is prone to major damage, I would go with a full-on kit. About the same here. This one is something that I actually do have and carry with me. I have the smaller one. I think it's an 18-piece set, but this 24 one's pretty good. I also definitely recommend bringing a hex key set. I have 2 of these in my car, one for SAE and one for millimeters. I pretty much always keep these in my car. There's always something that comes up. A lot of molly panels and roof racks use these, so I pretty much always keep this in my vehicle at all times. Alright, and next up we've got duct tape. You pretty much know what duct tape does. It's great for a lot of different purposes, and it's really not that difficult to keep in your vehicle with you, even if not just for overlanding, for really anything. I know I'm not alone in saying that duct tape is pretty much a fix-it for almost anything.